we're on record for what's been docketed as the 7th review in this file. May I have the names of our participants, please?
Lee Heiss, lawyer guardian ad litem.
Ms. Stasia Thomas, counsel for the department. Ms. Madrid.
Francesca Madrid, foster care worker for Fostering Solutions.
Michael McFarland, representing mother. Is she on Zoom, Your Honor?
So, Ms. Herron, can you hear us okay?
Yes.
All right, your name for the record, please.
Sarah Heron.
Thank you very much. Ms. Heiss.
Thank you, Your Honor. I do join the agency in requesting that the file be closed. I visited with the child in person, and mother had allowed me to schedule with her up in the Ypsilanti area, and I looked forward to seeing the child in that environment, but he was sick that day. And what I found was that mom allowed placement, or the former placement, to be the daycare, the child care provider while he was sick. And I didn't, so little guy was sick. And sometimes when you see stuffy noses and draining children, you'll see them sleeping, maybe in a bed or something. This little guy was sleeping on his paternal great-grandmother's tummy. So he was tummy to tummy with an adult while he was sick and all the way asleep. And this grandmother was reclined and the little baby was just sleeping away. So there's where his mother chose to put him on a sick day. And they had just come in from being outside. This child has 2 half brothers that have been adopted into the home. So all of the children had been outside and had some fresh air. And the great grandmother lives right next door to what was the placement aunt and uncle. So very enmeshed family. And I'm really happy to see that mother relies on this family. They have had this little guy since very early, and they're very bonded to him too. So I'm seeing that she's making great decisions. I would like to leave this mother with a court order that in the comment section says that placement family, so Jason Herron, Herron, should have contact with this little guy every 2 weeks at minimum, just in case mom gets into another situation that, and she needs support, because that's what the Uncle Jason Herron intends for the child, not to be judgmental, not to be anything but supportive, so that if the order could reflect that a wise decision or a safety plan would be for mother to allow contact. And I don't know if that's 5 minutes or a weekend, that's up to the family, but at least every 2 weeks, Jason Herron has access to the child. The other piece that I'd like to leave the family with is Miss Leary has done a lot towards getting divorced from Mr. Leary, who has been determined to not be the father of this child, but he was married to the mother when the child was born. She's done what she can do, and there's a barrier between the counties and between her having full placement without NA jurisdiction, then she can finish her divorce in Washington. And I think she intends to do that. But if the order could reflect that, it's in the best interest for the child to finish that so that it doesn't fall off her radar. I know it wouldn't, but she's got a lot going on as a young mom. She's working very hard. She's using her supports up there in Ypsilanti. So that encouraging her through that court order. The other thing that I would like to emphasize is that court order would be in the CPS data bank, so that if anybody called and said, hey, we haven't seen Braylon in a month, could you do a well check? My idea is that CPS would look in there, see the last court order, and see that she was supposed to. It's a red flag that she's not letting Jason Herron see the child every 2 weeks, and they might inquire what resources she needs to finish that divorce. So the child's needs are being met with his mother. He is bonded with her. There was a long period of increasing visits, and her sobriety is a real gift to the entire family. It's rare, and it's a real gift to the child too. So I join the agency in recommending closing jurisdiction. Thank you.
Testimony this morning, Ms. Thomas.
Your Honor, I'll call Ms. Madrid to give her report.
Come on, witness stand.
If I can just let the attorney for the agency know, I will be calling my client.
Thank you.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Good morning, Ms. Madrid. You have provided us with a court report today, and your cover sheet indicates there's mom's case service plan, an update from Home and New Vision, and then 2 documents from my family. Are there any other documents that you've circulated since submitting that report?
No,
And are there any updates or modifications that you're aware of that need to be made to that report or any of the documents?
not at this time.
Okay. Thank you for that. And the request for today is for the court to terminate its jurisdiction. Is that correct?
Yes.
And can you just briefly highlight how mom has been successful in her case service plan and demonstrated benefit from it?
Yes, she has demonstrated the ability to maintain her sobriety for the majority of this case, a very extended period of time. She has also continued to participate consistently in her mental health services, as well as her substance abuse services. And she's just demonstrated the ability to meet all of Braylon's needs.
And at this time, are there any concerns about Braylon's like childcare or mental health needs, anything like that?
May I inquire for on YouTube, Your Honor?
Yeah.
We
I'm
could refrain
so
from these
sorry.
details.
Thank you for the reminder, Mr. McFarland.
At this time, he does not have any mental health needs. He's up to date on his well child. He has one coming up in January. He had a dental appointment in October. So his needs are being met. As far as daycare assistance, Ms. Leary did settle that, and she was approved for daycare assistance. We worked really hard during this reporting period to get that application approved, and she is now paying $100 a week instead of the $300. So that is definitely a better situation for her.
You heard Ms. Heiss and her recommendations. I'm just hoping that there can continue to be contact with the former relative placement. Do you have any concerns about mom continuing that, and do you support that recommendation?
Yes, I do support it. I don't have any concerns about Ms. Leary continuing that. She utilizes them right now every weekend. So, and when he's sick, so I don't believe that will be an issue. And they are a very good support for her.
Great. Is there anything else you want the court to know today?
Not at this time, no.
Okay. And then just one more question for My Family, the reunification program. Will that continue after jurisdiction's terminated?
It will not. I did speak to my family worker, and she indicated that they would close out if jurisdiction is released today without any concerns.
Okay, wonderful. With that, Your Honor, I have no further questions of Ms. Madrid and would move to admit the court report.
No objections.
No objection.
Is there a lot left of the My Family Together program for Ms. Leary?
There is not. She's been in it going on 3 months. It's about a 3 to 4 month program. And they just indicated they didn't have any concerns. So if the court released today, they would also end the program.
Would they consider it ended successfully? You know?
Yes. Yeah, she didn't have any concerns, and she was in agreement with our recommendation today.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. McFarland?
I know what Ms. Heiss, the guardian ad litem, is suggesting with contact with the relative, but it seems open-ended until the child is 18. Do you think that might be a little bit excessive, that the child needs to have contact until the child is 18 with this relative every other week?
I think that would be beneficial to Braylon and to the child and Ms. Leary if they continue to be engaged and involved in their life. He also has siblings there, so I think that maintaining that contact until they're adults is also very appropriate.
Thank you for that insight. Nothing further.
Ms. Heiss?
Would you, with your contact information, be able to make sure that Mrs. Leary has, I believe it's the order after pretrial hearing from January 29th of 2024, in which the judge determined that this is a child born out of wedlock. so that that document she has in her hand to finish her divorce in Washtenaw.
Yes.
That would be helpful. Thank you. I have nothing further.
Any redirect, Ms. Thomas?
I have none, Your Honor.
Just one.
Right. Could
Could you make that copy a certified copy so the court would accept it rather than just a Xerox copy? So authentic, so the court in Washtenaw knows that it's actually generated by our courts. Is that something you could attempt to do?
Yes, I will.
No problem, nothing further.
Thank you for your testimony and your return receipt. Anyone else you'd like us to hear from today, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
I call my client, please, if she can be sworn in.
James?
You raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You've had an opportunity to read the court report, is that true?
Yes.
You believe that you are at a point where you would want the court to end the case that it has right now?
Yes.
Do you intend on pursuing the divorce and having the father the legal father declared not to be the legal father? Is that your intentions?
Yes, I've been working with an attorney really, really hard to get that divorce done. William Amedio actually took the case for me. So he has a very busy schedule, so I'm just kind of waiting on him so I can meet up with him and get the papers together. But now that if this case closes, that's gonna help me a lot.
Sure, okay. And then you heard the recommendation of the guardian ad litem to have your child, we're not gonna mention names because we're on YouTube, but have contact with the family placement where his siblings are. Is that okay with you to have the court direct you to do that?
I mean, I don't particularly like that, but I mean, just because, you know, things happen with family, I would never personally keep my son away from his brothers or his family. He goes with them every Friday to Sunday. I just don't really understand where that came from and why it's, I mean, I understand, but I just don't really understand, if that makes sense, but I guess it's fine. Yes.
Well, is it your position that it's not really a closed case if they're ordering you to continue to do something like that? Is that what I'm hearing?
I mean, pretty much, yeah. I mean, it's like, you know, I've been trusted to make healthy decisions for my son for the past 2 years. I just don't understand, like, that's not really trusting me if it's being put in a court order to, you know what I mean? That's not, I mean, I have a relapse plan. I have safety plans. I have, you know what I mean? My kids were placed with them for a reason. I've never kept my kids from them. So I'm not understanding where that came from.
Thank you. Okay, I understand. Am I hearing you correctly that you would voluntarily, even without the court directing it, not sever this contact? Is that what we're hearing?
Correct.
Okay. Anything else you think you need to add today?
Nope.
Okay, we'll see if any other attorneys have questions for you.
Ms. Thomas, any questions?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Ms. Heiss?
No, thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Anyone else you'd like us to hear from, Mr. McFarland?
No, just closing remarks.
Any witnesses today, Ms. Heiss?
No witnesses. No, thank you.
Good. Comments in closing, Ms. Thomas?
Thank you, Your Honor. We don't get to say it often enough, so it's really nice to be able to request the court to terminate its jurisdiction, knowing that Ms. Heron has successfully completed her case service plan, is doing what's best for her child. And that's all that we would ask the court today. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
Your Honor, yes, this is something that we don't see often, and, you know, it's all because of mother wanting to do this. She's motivated. I do see her point of view. If we are truly closing this case, then we're closing this case. If she's seeing Mr. Amadeo, who we're all familiar with, he's familiar with the process. She's gone to a private attorney. I'm sure this is going to be accomplished. She's motivated to do that. In addition, she's also motivated to have this child have contact with family. But if we truly believe that she has completed this, then we trust that she's going to follow through. what happens if she doesn't? And the agency can refile and things are not gonna look so good. She realizes that, but now these are decisions that a normal parent would make without court intervention. We're asking the court, yes, to trust that she's going to make these decisions as she's exhibited throughout this case, making positive parental decisions. So it's basically not having that yoke of an existing case over you. It's saying, yes, I've completed it. They trust me. They know that I'm going to do the right thing without having this burden there. And I think her history has demonstrated to us that she can make these proper decisions, Your Honor. So that's our position. And we ask for closure.
Ms. Heist.
In case it's important to the family, the mother is indicating, where did this come from? You know, I think it's an overstatement to say that for 2 years she's done just fine. You know, the case that brought Mr. Leary to prison, if you read that police report, the abuse that mom suffered was really cruel and awful. Then in June of 2024, we had another police report from a boyfriend. And, you know, that's not that long ago, and Miss Leary got a PPO. So this is my idea, because I represent the child. And Miss Leary knows me. She's allowed me to visit the child at her mom's house with her. So she knows who I am, and she knows, so this idea came from me. And I also was involved in her older 2 children who were in a guardianship with a placement. And at some point they had a private hire, termination of parental rights and adoption on those 2 kids. And those 2 kids are like in Montessori, you know, and they're just really excelling, I think, in this family. So when this little guy was born, I was assigned on the case too. So I know a little bit of the history, and this is my idea, to have every 2 weeks these. I don't trust for, if Braylon, if this child were old enough to articulate, I think that it's fair to say every 2 weeks. And I think Miss Leary is not opposed to it, and I think she intends to have much more contact than every 2 weeks. But I think that leaving case open, it creates barriers for the mom, but also, so I want her to know that this is my idea. This is not a custody order. This is not enforceable. This is until further order of the court, or, you know, if it were 10 years down the road and someone opens this case and says, oh, look, you were supposed to let contact every 2 weeks. Well, in 10 years, things will be different. And everybody knows the passage of time would, I think it's important to the family that she understands that this came from me and not the placement, and it's based on those things. So that's all for today, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Court finds all interested parties are given notice for purposes of today's review and permits of planning hearing. This case was open for quite some time. I am happy to recognize the progress that Ms. Sarah Herring made over the course of the time that the court was supervising the efforts that she was making in cooperation with the agency. And I will agree to release jurisdiction. I am including the directives to continue to allow the contact between the child and the placement. That's a very important support to recognize for the child, as well as for the relative in this case. And that needs to continue to be in place, as well as the finalization of that divorce judgment. I certainly hope that Ms. Herring continues to maintain the success and progress that she's made, and I wish her the best of luck moving forward. But I'm releasing the child officially from the jurisdiction of the court back into her care, and there will be no more further review hearings. We'll send a copy of a certified copy of today's order out. Do you want us to send that to you directly, Ms. Herring, or do you want it to be sent to your attorney?
Send it to me directly. That would be great. Thank you.
Very good. I will ask my clerk's office to ensure that a certified copy of today's order releasing jurisdiction and containing the directives that were referenced as it relates to A.M. Leary to you directly, so that you can use that for purposes of your divorce. Unless there's any questions, that's all for today.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.